Have you ever felt like a third wheel in your own relationship? That's exactly how I found myself feeling when my best friend and my boyfriend started getting a little too chummy. At first, it was all harmless fun and games, shared jokes, inside stories. But now, I can't shake this unsettling feeling that their bond is edging into uncomfortable territory. Am I just being paranoid, or is there something more brewing under the surface? Stick with me as I try to unravel this emotional knot and figure out where to draw the line. I'm a 28-year-old woman living in a bustling city, balancing a career in marketing with an active social life. My boyfriend Alex and I have been together for nearly 2 years now, and things have generally been great between us. We met at a mutual friend's party and instantly clicked over our shared love for indie music and late-night food adventures. Then there's my best friend Emily, who I've known since college. We've been inseparable since our freshman year, navigating the ups and downs of life together. It all started innocently enough when I introduced Alex to Emily, hoping they'd get along since both are important parts of my life. Initially, it was amazing seeing two people I care about bonding over shared interests. They'd often joke about their favorite TV shows or exchange memes that perfectly encapsulated our trio's dynamic. However, over the past few months, I've noticed a shift in their interactions. They text each other more frequently, sometimes even without including me in the conversation, and their inside jokes seem to be multiplying. At first, I brushed it off as my own insecurities. After all, isn't it a dream for your partner to get along with your best friend? But as time passed, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that I was becoming an outsider in my own relationship. The subtle glances they exchanged, the laughter that felt just a bit too exclusive, each moment added to the growing unease in my stomach. As I replay these instances in my mind, I can't help but wonder if I'm overreacting or if there's genuinely something I should be concerned about. As time went on, the once cozy trio dynamic started to feel like a tightrope I was precariously balancing on. It reached a tipping point one Friday evening when Emily suggested we all go to a new art exhibition downtown. Art has always been a shared passion for Alex and me, so I was excited. However, as we moved through the gallery, I noticed how Alex and Emily seemed lost in their own world, discussing the intricacies of each piece with a depth and enthusiasm that left me feeling sidelined. This feeling of exclusion was compounded when, during our post-exhibition dinner, Alex casually mentioned a concert Emily had invited him to, a concert I hadn't even heard about. They both turned to me with expectant eyes, urging me to join, yet the sting of being the last to know was all too palpable. It was at that moment I realized this wasn't just a fleeting insecurity. The real curveball came a week later. I was swamped at work, preparing for a major marketing campaign that could potentially skyrocket my career. Meanwhile, Alex was between projects and had more free time than usual. One evening, as I was working late, I got a text from Emily. "Hey, just grabbed coffee with Alex. He's got some great ideas for his next project. You should join next time." My heart sank as I realized they were spending time together without me. The emotional weight of feeling replaced, coupled with the stress of my demanding job, became overwhelming. I started to question everything. Were they keeping secrets? Was there something more between them? The fear of losing both my partner and best friend in one fell swoop began to consume my thoughts. At home, I found myself snapping at Alex over trivial matters, a defensive mechanism I couldn't control. "Why didn't you tell me you were meeting Emily?" I asked one evening, trying to keep my tone light yet failing miserably. Alex seemed taken aback, assuring me it was just a casual catch-up, but my mind couldn't quiet the doubts. I felt trapped in a whirlwind of confusion and frustration, unsure of how to address my feelings without sounding accusatory or paranoid. The tension seeped into every interaction, turning once joyful moments into stressful encounters. This situation, once a minor annoyance, had spiraled into a significant emotional burden, and I was at a loss for how to reclaim my peace. Determined to reclaim my peace and get to the bottom of this unsettling situation, I decided to take proactive steps. First, I reached out to my sister, who has always been my sounding board. Over a long phone call, I spilled my worries, half expecting her to dismiss them as paranoid ramblings. Instead, she listened patiently and advised me to communicate openly with both Alex and Emily. It was a relief to have my feelings validated, yet the prospect of confronting them filled me with dread. Taking her advice to heart, I planned a casual dinner at our apartment, hoping it would serve as a comfortable setting for an honest conversation. Over a home-cooked meal, I broached the topic, trying to express my feelings without sounding accusatory. "I've been feeling a bit left out lately," I confessed, my voice trembling slightly. Alex looked genuinely surprised and concerned, promising to be more mindful in the future. Emily, on the other hand, seemed defensive, insisting that I was imagining things. Her reaction stung, but I hoped the conversation would serve as a turning point. Feeling somewhat reassured, I tried to focus on maintaining a balanced perspective, making an effort to include myself in their plans and suggesting more group activities. Despite my best efforts, though, the tension lingered, often rearing its head at the most inconvenient times. The second curveball came out of nowhere when my company announced a sudden restructuring, putting my job on the line. The news hit me hard, adding another layer of stress to my already fraught emotional state. The uncertainty of my professional future weighed heavily on me, making it difficult to address my personal concerns with clarity. With my energy divided between saving my job and managing my personal life, I found myself stretched thin. Attempts to further discuss my feelings with Emily were met with avoidance, as she seemed increasingly busy with her own commitments. Meanwhile, Alex's efforts to include me felt forced and awkward, as if he was walking on eggshells. My attempts to resolve the situation felt like they were hitting a brick wall. The lack of genuine cooperation and the overwhelming stress from work left me feeling more isolated than ever. I was caught in a cycle of doubt and frustration, struggling to maintain the relationships that meant the most to me while the world around me seemed to crumble. The weight of the situation started to seep into every corner of my life, leaving me feeling emotionally drained and mentally exhausted. The once vibrant social butterfly that I was began to retreat into a cocoon of solitude as I found myself avoiding gatherings where Emily or Alex might be present. My friends noticed the change, often asking if everything was okay, but I couldn't find the words to explain the complex web of emotions ensnaring me. At home, the atmosphere was tense and suffocating. Alex and I started having more frequent arguments, sparked by the smallest of things, a misplaced item, a forgotten errand. These petty disputes were merely symptoms of a deeper disconnect that neither of us seemed equipped to address. Our conversations, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, turned into stilted exchanges that only served to widen the chasm between us. Work, which had always been a source of pride and achievement, became yet another arena of stress. The looming threat of job loss hung over me like a dark cloud, affecting my focus and productivity. My once sharp mind felt dulled by the constant worry, and I struggled to keep up with the demands of my role. The fear of failing professionally compounded the emotional turmoil I was already facing at home. Socially, I began to isolate myself, declining invitations from friends and avoiding Emily's calls. The thought of facing her, with unresolved feelings and unspoken words, felt like an insurmountable task. I missed the camaraderie and support my friendships once provided, yet the fear of confrontation kept me at bay. Internally, I wrestled with a growing sense of hopelessness. I questioned my own perceptions, doubting whether my feelings were justified or if I was simply overreacting. This self-doubt gnawed at my confidence, leaving me feeling like a stranger in my own skin. The unresolved tension created an emotional vacuum where hope struggled to breathe. Each day felt like walking through a fog with no clear path forward. I longed for a resolution, a return to the warmth and security I once knew. But as time dragged on, I feared that my relationships with Alex and Emily might be damaged beyond repair. The thought of losing them both was a reality I wasn't ready to face, yet the uncertainty of how to fix things left me paralyzed, trapped in a limbo of my own making. As I lay awake one restless night, staring at the ceiling, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on my mind. Despite my best efforts, nothing seemed to bridge the widening gap between Alex, Emily, and me. The thought of continuing on this uncertain path filled me with dread, prompting me to consider more drastic measures. The idea of breaking up with Alex crossed my mind, a thought that terrified and saddened me. We've shared so much history, laughter, and love, yet the emotional strain of feeling like an outsider was becoming unbearable. I wondered if a separation might be the wake-up call we both needed, a chance to reassess our priorities and feelings. But the fear of losing him for good and the potential loneliness that might follow loomed large. Similarly, the thought of distancing myself from Emily seemed equally daunting. She's been my confidant, my partner in crime, through so many life adventures. Yet, her dismissive attitude towards my feelings made me question the foundation of our friendship. Would cutting ties solve anything, or merely add to the heartache? Professionally, I pondered making a drastic career change, considering options that might alleviate the stress and uncertainty at work. But the thought of starting over, both personally and professionally, felt overwhelming. Each option carried its own set of fears and uncertainties. I worried about the long-term consequences, the social stigma of a breakup or losing a best friend, and the emotional toll of starting anew. Would these drastic measures truly bring peace or only complicate my life further? Caught in this emotional crossfire, I felt paralyzed. Taking action meant facing the unknown, a prospect both terrifying and liberating. Yet staying the course threatened to erode my happiness and well-being. I was stuck at a crossroads, torn between the safety of familiarity and the frightening potential of change, uncertain which path would lead to healing. As I sit here, reflecting on the emotional roller coaster of the past few months, I'm left feeling more conflicted than ever. The joy and security that once defined my relationships with Alex and Emily have been overshadowed by doubt and uncertainty. My attempts to communicate and resolve the issues have been met with limited success, leaving me stuck at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. I'm reaching out to this community because I feel lost and in need of guidance. Have any of you faced a similar situation where your closest relationships seem to blur the lines in ways you couldn't fully understand? How did you navigate the complex emotions and difficult decisions that followed? I hope that by sharing my story, someone might offer a perspective I've missed, or perhaps a strategy that could help me find clarity and peace. Maybe there's a middle ground I haven't yet discovered, or a way to mend these bonds without resorting to drastic measures. Even if no immediate solution presents itself, writing this has been cathartic, a way to organize my thoughts and acknowledge the depth of my feelings. I appreciate any advice or shared experiences you might have as I try to navigate this challenging chapter of my life. Thank you for listening and for any insights you can provide. I truly hope to find a resolution that preserves the love and friendships I hold dear.